So I'm here to actually part my experiences as the world is witnessing as to how terrorism is growing. So I will actually briefly speak on terrorism, basically covering the old definition, then what happened in the meantime, how it has been transformed from a definition which is a conventional definition, and how it has crossed the umbrella and gone to the state level. Then I would like to discuss what are the blunders which have been committed by our leaderships. Because this growth of terrorism, I think we all world leaders are responsible for it. I confess it. If somebody can challenge me, I'll prove them wrong. Because I have got, principally speaking, solid evidence what I'm saying. And I'll share with you those in one line. And when you go back to your rooms, do search, do think that what I said, is it right or not right? So your excellencies and very, very prominent journalists here, including my friend Mr. Salim, and of course, at this point of time when you are studying, you have the urge to learn, and therefore the correct perspective should be there. I know that India and Pakistan are always loggerhead. I will not discuss much, but I will discuss only what is good for India and Pakistan. How should we proceed? Because tomorrow, these countries are going to be in your hand. And perhaps one sentence given by me give you a thought as to how to proceed further in the world. The world has become a small globe. It's a global village. And social media, TV channels, screens have brought you very close. So I'm very happy that media from BBC, including Ms. Hashmi and all other friends from other channels, including our university student from Punjab. So let me give you as to how the world got entangled into this whole situation. If you take back the history of terrorism starting from Japan, you know that the gas was leaked in the underground railway station and how many people were killed. Then it went to Germany, and I think you all know what is terrorism. So I'll not discuss much the definition, but I'll come straight away as to how it started. You know it very well, the World War II. Post-World War II, that was the actual time when terrorism took birth in a real sense. And they are the dirty tricks played by the intelligence agencies, which make the country fight, which create groups due to geopolitical situations, to get the geopolitical gains. Starting from that, the first blunder ever made was from USSR. When USSR decided to attack Afghanistan, and we all know that they took over. What was the reason behind it? And now it has unfolded. And that very attack, in fact, disintegrated Russia. I mean, so USSR was disintegrated because the situation played by his other certain country lured them in, and then they had fight. So when we talk of this, they are all geopolitical intrigues. And you know then what USS did. And we are equally, as a Pakistani, I will say, yes, we were actually pushed into it. And this is my personal experience. At that point of time, I was a deputy director FIA, a junior officer, and I was watching not as a policy maker, but as a policy implementer. So I remember very well that a center was created in Peshawar. And all jihadis, disgruntled elements, those who had actually fled away from their countries, and they were in Canada, they were in Middle East, they were in Europe, they were in everywhere in the world, and they were recruited. After the recruitment, they were brought in to Afghanistan via Pakistan, And of course, they were registered there. They were trained. They were given military training. And then accordingly, they were launched there. Now question is, what was that necessary to bring the jihadis in and have the fight? Because the America did not want to come as such openly, and they used this element of the religion. Unfortunately, if you see worldwide, religion is something which is exploited the most. You have seen in Ireland what happened here, Protestants and the Catholics. And of course, you see Sri Lanka, what happened there. You go into Philippines, you see the same thing. You go to Thailand, you have this conflict. So these conflicts are there because of some of the religious, not compulsion, but the engineered program to attain certain geopolitical gains. Having said so, now these militants, these jihadis, trained jihadis, turned out to be actually those who fought against USSR, and you saw USSR it defeated, and of course America decided to ditch them. And how they were ditched, they didn't accept it. I, in my capacity at that point of time, I was Director FIA Peshawar, those friends from Pakistan. When I say Peshawar, I was the head of the FIA, is a Federal Investigation Agency equivalent to the American FBI. So at that point of time, I saw the transition of the power from going from the whole situations and where Hikmat Yar, Zubani, and everybody took over the government. And then how they got disintegrated and it gave birth to Taliban. And these are those Talibans, those Afghanis who were trained, and also those militants which are brought in from abroad and they were put into it. Now after America left and they had no other way to survive, so they became Taliban. They actually also became, they found a kind of their livelihood out of terrorism. Like the petty crimes, of course, they got involved like mercenaries. And time had not gone far. And these Taliban were adopted by Osama bin Laden. And that came out to be by the name of Al-Qaeda. Now, what is Al-Qaeda? How it transformed? The register which was being maintained to bring the jihadis in Peshawar and on the bordering area, where they used to register the name of those jihadis, that register is called Al-Qaeda. Those who sitting Arabic speaking, they know Al-Qaeda means the elementary book. So that Al-Qaeda was actually the basic register for registration of those jihadis. And this name of Al-Qaeda was given after that register. And who wrote it? Al-Zawahiri. Ayman al-Zawahiri. He was a very young boy at that time when I met him. I interrogated him and interrogated him. In fact, when I was Deputy Director FIA in connection with something else. So, please. And they very categorically stated, America promised us jobs. America brought us here. And when they governed us, we had no other option to do it. And the same thing I had learned personally in my investigation of Yusuf Ramzi. Those who have some knowledge of the development of these terrorists, Yusuf Ramzi was in fact the first attacker, bomber in World Trade Center. I arrested him from Pakistan and we extradited him according to the law. And that gentleman did not open his mouth for 1 year. I, along with one of my investigators, for the first time I interviewed, and he was so open, he said, sir, you take me to a box because whatever I speak in the hall is going to be used against me. But if I go to the box, it will not be used against me. And he said, I want you to actually blow Brooklyn Bridge instead of World Trade Center. So he was so convinced. So I asked him a question what I want to emphasize. He said, till such time, the brutalities in the world, they do not start. My mother was killed. My maternal uncle was killed during the Iraq War. He said, I want to take revenge. What comes? And well, anyway, you saw he was convicted later on. His two maternal uncles, Khalid al-Sheikh and Zahid al-Sheikh. Khalid Sheikh was arrested from Pakistan and he's now serving prison in America. And Zahid al-Sheikh is at large. So these were the groups, and they were very close to Osama bin Laden. And Osama bin Laden was not only close to these people, but he was very close to Yemen and Somalia, Sudan. And of course, he recruited people from there. And he also made the entire team who killed Anwar Sadat, Jamaat Islamiyah. So you see, all these bunch of people, they got together, and it was our bad luck in Pakistan, they got together there. And that's where the Pakistani trouble started. And right from that day, I assure you that we did not have peace. We had the Kalashnikov culture, drug in the form of heroin came. I'm sorry, apologies from my German friends. They brought the first missionary to refine heroin. And we detected for the first time at Islamabad airport at the point of time. And of course, the same heroin was used for the USSR soldiers as well. So you see the tricks which keep going and playing. And when I'm using the drug, I say that tigers, they were also into drugs because they were creating their funds by the smuggling of drugs. And a infamous name, Golden Triangle, they were using. So the terrorists actually get the funding from the certain individuals, certain countries, and also they generate their funds from illegal means, and which you call terrorist financing, and of course illegal transactions. And after 9/11, when it went to the world in a large scale, and of course the definition of terrorism did not come, but the definition of money laundering did come. And today, as I speak to you, I mean, with all powerful countries, our UNO, we do not have a single convention on terrorism. There are 19 conventions, and they're all scattered and polarized. And if somebody asks that what law should a country adopt, they do not have one. So that's what I have been actually emphasizing, advocating, that we should have one convention. And when I talk of one convention, then I talk of interfaith harmony. Because the way the religions have been exploited, you have seen it here. Taliban, they did not serve anything good for the Islam because they have been using suicide bombers. You and me and everybody knows that none of the religion in the world teaches you violence. It teaches you love, affection. You take Hinduism, you take Islam, you take Judaism, you take Christianity. You take any religion in the world. No religion tells you to kill somebody. And where did these Taliban get this kind of impression, or their own self-created Islam, that suicidal missions are very according to Islam? We had to do a big struggle to get fatwas from the mullahs, even from other university I went, and we got it that it is a haram. But it is still going on. And to your horror, you will be surprised to know that the investigation we had carried out certain suicide bombers, which could not explode, they were sold to the Talibans, teenagers. Just a meager amount, not very big amount. Then they're trained. So you see, the poverty is the main can-do for these kind of acts. Because if you see the whole world, draw a map, you see the terrorism expanding where there's a poverty. And I'm sorry, we all religions sitting here. I have failed to understand till today. If you see the world map, why only the pockets of Islam, wherever there is Islam government, or Islamic pocket or a country, the terrorism is there. That's what when Mr. President Donald Trump spoke against Islam and he said Islamic terrorism. And I remember I had gone to attend his first oath and I delivered a lecture in I think one of the universities here, London University. And from there I addressed him and I also wrote him. I said, not Islamic terrorism. And Mr. President, my religion does not teach violence. So I advise you, fight this terrorism with Muslims, not against the Muslims. I wrote him a letter. I sent him tweets, but I'm glad that I got a call from the White House. They said it's sensible. And then I also referred a international resolution in Philippines, Baguio, 1994, where it was decided at the level of international community that no religion will be condemned and neither it's going to be called Christian terrorism or Islamic terrorism or Hindu terrorism. It is extremist. It's extremism. And I'm glad it is there. And of course, we'll continue with this. Having said so, when these Talibans came in, Al-Qaeda came in, and of course, how things happened, 9/11 occurred, and 9/11 in fact changed the face of the world. And you know the mistake and the blunder which was made by USSR was again repeated by USA. And I have been vocally saying worldwide, even in America, CNN and BBC, I have been giving these interviews, that this was blunder. And now, US realizes that it was a blunder. Now, after spending trillions of dollars, they have not been able to achieve what they wanted to achieve. Now they think that let's go for a dialogue. Because bullet is not the answer. Bullet is not the solution. They have seen it in Vietnam. They have seen in African countries. They have seen even Cuba. They have seen in Venezuela. And they have experienced in also Afghanistan. So let's hope the sense prevails and we go for a dialogue. And I really sincerely pray that the dialogue with Pakistani high-ups and the government and all concerned are assisting USA for a dialogue between US and the Afghan Talibans. If it happens, very good. But with a little experience of mine, I can say it looks difficult because America doesn't want to leave even today all those bases and maybe partly withdraw, and the Afghan Taliban want full withdrawal. That will create a situation at that point of time. And then these Talibans, Al-Qaeda, the way they created havoc in Pakistan and in Afghanistan, I think it will take many years, to be very honest, to come back to the normal situation. Because we are till today feeling the touch. Our economy is destroyed. We have lost billions of dollars in terms of logistics. And we have lost, in fact, 70,000 innocent citizens. We have lost 10,000 soldiers. And yet, Pakistan is seen to be a suspect. My green passport was seen. The first impression goes is, he must be a terrorist. Unfortunately, it is not so. So why it is this? We have given our lives. We have fought for you. We fought the war for the international community. We were there with you to fight. But the result or the compensation or the appreciation you have seen what we have. I don't want to go into details because America has got many darlings. We may not be that big darling as the other people do, but I would like to remind them, look, if you leave once a friend and you ditch once a friend, maybe that friend will not come back to you, but other will also learn the lesson that this person or this country is not a friend. Now I go a little forward to tell you how the situation got deteriorated. After the murder of Osama bin Laden, the focus was shifted. And I remember I met the Saudi king in person, His Royal Highness Abdullah, and I had about half an hour meeting with him. So I briefed him certain things. He said, I would like to sit with you with the whole cabinet. I remember Prince Mughran, then Crown Prince, and the Interior Minister. We spent 3.5 hours together. I gave him a briefing, and I predicted that now the terrorists have started moving to Yemen. All those, I gave them the name Afro-Arab terrorists because Africans, Arabs, and they had formed kind of a syndicate. And I said, they are going to be used in Yemen. And it happened within 3 months. There was attack on the Deputy Interior Minister, a number of bombing was done there. So the shift was done. That's a big question. Who shifted that? Because if you have to travel tomorrow to your country, you need ticket. Your parents will give, your friends will give. And they move in groups. They need money to live. They need a shelter to have, to spend life there, maybe 4 months, 6 months, 6 years. So you saw that, and it happened. Now coming on to this, Taliban and the terrorists from Middle East, they had a big nexus. And it's my, again, personal experience, and I've seen the evidence myself. Abu Bakr Baghdadi, he was trained in Khost for 6 months. And when he goes back to Iraq, and you know how Daesh was created. Again, I say the biggest blunder ever done by America was to disband the Iraqi army. You do not have the force to protect or to fight against. So how can you control a crime or any anti-state movement? So we saw one of the American senator meeting Abu Bakr Baghdadi in the jail. 7,500 militants are let off. And of course, what was created again in the region? Shia Sunni. There was a statement from one of the very famous Ayatollah and stated that should not be fair. Everybody was talking about it. But the first massacre in Fallujah, and then the way they took over, and wherever there was a population of Shia, they used to take those people on the top floor and say, okay, say kalma, la ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, and they will just shoot him on the head and say, Allahu Akbar, and down. Are you telling me the guy who's killing, he's a Muslim. The guy who's been killed, he's a Muslim. He's reciting Quran, he's reciting kalma both sides. Who should we ask? So there is some kind of a conspiracy which was going on, and the conspiracy was unfolded. And you must have seen, all of you, when they decided to go into Syria. And before happening this, I'm again eyewitness to one of the things, that certain Middle Eastern countries wanted, in fact, the UNO forces to go to Syria for attack, which of course Pakistan opposed. I played a key role in it, and we guard that resolution averted. And we were totally against it. We knew it, that there will be children's dead bodies, women's dead bodies, and the world is going to view it wrongly. You have seen what happened in Syria. Who created it? It's the same Daesh. The same Daesh. We talk of terrorism, but here I say geopolitical gains and interests. So whoever did it, of course I don't have to say much, but Tony Blair is on record, where he has stated openly that it was a blunder. It was a blunder. It will continue to be a blunder in the history. Again, I will tell you in a personal experience. Shaheed Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto, who had addressed from here, I feel honored today at standing at the same place and addressing the most prominent future leaders. BB sent the message via me to President Saddam through the ambassador of Iraq in UAE. I met him and I said, this is what we want. Can you expose your weapons of mass destruction site to the Americans? And they said, no, we don't have any. And in writing, it was conveyed. I came back to Bibi. I said, this is what they say. She spoke to somebody there, and they said, we'll get back to you. And then within 24 hours, they said, it's too late. We have decided to attack. We have decided to attack. So now if they were predetermined to do it, so that means there was something else. And what was that something else? That was Arab Spring. Arab Spring was initiated. And it was initiated with Hosni Mubarak. And at that point of time, the entire Middle East did not want Hosni Mubarak to be eliminated from the power. But you saw how it happened. The Muslim Brotherhood came, Jama'at Islamiyah came, and I will not take the name of the Prime Minister, but you know how he was toppled, how he was humiliated. And second person, of course, you saw somebody else, is Iraqi president. And third, what happened? The Libyan president. I've written a book, Daesh, which of course it speaks all about it. And I'm sorry, I'll be able to give you the copy of the book, which is written Modi's War Doctrine. And it is not against anybody, but I've just collected the facts, nothing else. I'm not speaking anything on that, because I know my very lovely dear friends from India, they're also here. And I do not want to say anything which hurt anybody. There are many speeches come from India, many speeches go from here. This is the politics, but I would not like to play politics here. Here I'm here to tell you the facts, not a blame game. So in this one, I have actually stated as to how, according to my experience, how Daesh was created. And what was the agenda of Daesh? And how it has traveled from Iraq to Afghanistan, to Turkey, and then to Afghanistan. I have given the location of those training centers in Afghanistan as to how they are being trained. I have evidence in this one that even the Chinese are trained in it. Iranis are trained. To your horror, even people from Maldives are being trained. So all those details I have summed it up as a textbook. Not a blame game, but a textbook. So when students like to read, they have some material to read and of course to refer it. And you know what happened, that how Daesh went to Sri Lanka via India. And it's not me who's saying. The Prime Minister of Sri Lanka and the President of Sri Lanka on record. Now how they have gone there, Indian government, I'm sure is explaining, but I have also given some facts in this one. I will be sending you about 50 copies, Mr. Kamal, because I couldn't get it because I came in hurry. Because of the situation back home, I could not come earlier as I was to be here on the 15th. Having said so, the terrorism, the way it is growing, it needs to be kept here. It needs to be blocked. The question rises how to block it. Unfortunately, our own problems in terms of politics. We want to look like SHO of the world. Sometimes senior SHO, sometimes junior SHO. And those who are from other countries, I'll say it's called station house officer. And it is like your complaint officer in your area. And he's very powerful. He has authority to even lock up anybody. So everybody, the big boys, want to be really SHOs. So what I mean to say is important, which I mentioned to you, where the leadership actually committed blunders. And those blunders are attributed even today in enhancing terrorism in the world. Now somebody has to come forward. And I expect the youth to come forward. Because youth has to play a role in every country. There is no law, we have to bring the law. And inshallah, when I go back, I'm going to make another effort. In my parliament, at least, we send a resolution to UNO, and I'm sorry to say, the most redundant department on record, I say, is UNO. They are the last one to know what has happened. What for they are? I had met the Secretary General of UNO. I once traveled with him. I said, what do you do? Why don't you work? He said, nobody allows me to work, so I resign and go home. Tell the world that you can't do it. So unfortunate that the custodian of the peace of the world feels helpless and handcuffed. So where are you going to go and talk? So we have nobody to tell, knock and get, this is what is happening. Unfortunately, I'll just name few things for your record. By the way, I'm speaking extempore. I've written a speech for you, for your reference.
Thank you.
There are about 22 points in which I have elaborated everything, and I own every word of that. So I said, well, I speak, so maybe you need something for record. And I also consulted your very able president, and he endorsed this idea that I should distribute one speech. So by the time I'll finish the speech, you will have all that. Now I'll start with that. What are those mistakes which have actually destroyed us? First is interfaith power. We're all sitting here, where you're having a chat, you're having a coffee. You never ask which religion you are. You don't ask him, are you Shia? Are you a Muslim? Are you a Christian? Are you a Hindu? You just only see and say that he is a human being. That's it. And that's what God tells you. Nothing is bigger than humanity. If you see Bible, you see Quran, you see Buddha, even you see in your Hinduism, you can't kill a kida, any small even lizard. What to talk of human being? And even Islam says that if you kill one human being, you kill the whole human being. And the biggest crime in our religion, almost in every religion, is murder. So when it is the biggest crime, how can terrorists opt this option with them? How can they interfere God's duty and they start killing people themselves because they think that somebody dreamt? And I will tell you one incident. I visited this place, Malakand Swat, and I went to a hall. And literally, I'm telling you what was there. There were like paintings, honey is flowing, and then hoods are there, the most beautiful women which they had been promising them. And then, of course, other thing was that if you are a suicide bomber and you kill people, you will be able to take your 70 relatives in Jannah. And they were so stupid, and I have videos on record, I got them recorded who were alive. They would say, take the name of your family members. After you're blown up, you would like them to see them in Jannah. And related to that, there was one incident war factory in near Pindi, there we have a city. And one of the guy came out with fully prepared as a suicide bomber, and before the big bath, white shalwar kameez, and white chapel, and he's prepared to go to Jannah as per the direction of the guy. And he decided not to go to Jannah. He went to the nearest bathroom. He tried to take it off. Anyway, the people got him. I have seen that person myself. He's still in a Jala jail. And he said, why I stopped and I didn't do it? Because my handler said, when you go there, you will see the white guys there. And you will blow there. And you'll straight go to Jannah. He said, when he went there, he didn't see any white guy. He saw all people in Shalwar Kameez. He said, why am I killing these, English guys? So that kind of a perception is created. And of course, we traced how he was recruited, who did it. And there was Qari Usman. And when we got some people arrested, he on record said that give me a boy or a girl, 15 days he or she will tell that I want to be a suicide bomber. I wanted to go in more details. I mean, any natural human being, the best, of course, your precious thing is your life. What they do, they in fact inject various drugs. And when this incident happened, what they started doing was suicide bombing plus remote control bomb. If the suicide bomber does not press the button, the guy waiting little near will press his remote control. And that incident happened, if you recall, when the attack was on, one of ANP leader. But he survived. 3 suicide bombers were actually blown up from a distance. So having said so, this is the, actually not only in Pakistan, now coming on to Iraq. Iraq started with it, and they recruited people. They went everywhere. And let me tell you, they are no Muslims. They are mercenaries, paid on payment. And of course, they have every bad thing, whatever you mention. And it was a mistake, again, a blunder. I can sit in CNN and say that who had done this blunder. And only one name. He's live. If you get a chance, do ask him. President Gül of Turkey. We met him. I said, Mr. President, let's not support it. Syria, you can do it by dialogue. But let's not do it. If you have a problem with Kurds, that you think that Syria is supporting Kurds, that's a political issue. Let's work out something. And even today, in my writings, in my speeches, openly I say a similar thing to Pakistan and India. Let's sit together on the table. We're educated. Let's find out a solution. If you stop our water, your own brother and sister will die thirsty. If something happened in Kashmir, or some people are being killed with terrorism in Pakistan or India, it's humanity. Let's think over it. Let's stop it. And here, with reference to President Gül, I would like to mention you one thing more. Mr. Chidambaram, who was the Interior Minister of India, I was his counterpart. He visited me. In the beginning, he was reluctant to see me. Anyway, I met him. And he said, sir, I am not meeting you because you outsmart me in the press. I said, no, sir, you are my guest. You will speak. And if you allow me to speak, only then I'll speak. And after the meeting, I said, we have suffered because we did not stop the Talibans. We did not stop the growth of these bad guys. There is no good Taliban, there is no bad Taliban. And even President Karzai said to me that there are good Taliban, we take them on board. I said, there is no good Taliban. Whoever you take on board, they are all trained terrorists and they are going to destroy you. And the same good Taliban he used to talk, they tried to kill him 3 times. So then I told him that you are going to get Hindu Taliban. As we got Muslim Taliban, you're going to get it. And I'm on record, you can ask him. He said, no, Excellency, I do not agree with you. We don't have. Down the line, sir, after 1 year, I was flying with him from New Delhi to Kathmandu. And he told me, you're right. It is true. You know, third party interference, Bombay. I mentioned David Hadley is in it. He said, no. I said, he is a triple agent. I gave him all the evidence. You know, he was arrested. He's convicted. He was interrogated in India also on video call. And I'm glad that the real culprits were caught. So similarly, what I said to President of Turkey, Mr. President, let's sit together and not to bring a resolution whereby you are trying to set a precedent in your own region. And tomorrow they will be in Turkey, they will be in Saudi, and that's what I told the Saudi king. I told the similar thing to Qatar. And then other issue came. I'm telling you all that experience because you are not going to read in books. You're not going to read in the newspapers. There was a serious conflict between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And they were about to fight. So President Zari and me decided that we should jump in. I flew to Iran. I spoke to him. But before that, I went to Saudi Arabia. I convinced them that let me do my mediation. And I'm glad that the president of Iran, who had some miscommunication, that this Hamas. And of course, then he said, certain groups, they were actually favored by a certain country. And Saudi think that it's being done by Iran. And we proved on record it was not Iran. Shah is somebody who was the opposition leader in Bahrain. He was considered to be the path of Iran, which was proven wrong. Thankfully, that war was averted. So what I mean to say, the conflicts keep on happening and they are still happening and we have to avoid it. Now, coming on to this, whatever USA has done and how Taliban were produced, the same Taliban went and met at that point of time President Reagan. And I remember the president, our rep and the envoy of America, Mr. Khalid, he used to translate for them. The time passes, but they were actually given a space. And thereafter, you know what exactly happened, and I'm telling you on record today, 9/11, there was nobody from Pakistan in that terrorist attack. There was nobody from Afghanistan. There was nobody from India. They're all from Middle East. But who got the touch of war? Pakistan, Afghanistan. And the background is different. Now I'm covering it because Cold Wars. The Cold War are coming up right from the World War II. You saw China versus America. You know when the Chinese got a very high-flying spy plane and got that down. And you know what is happening between Russia and USA. So all these conflicts and their own issues, these things are created. And now I say terrorism is a tool of terror, and unfortunately it's being used by the states. When we say terrorist financing by the states, I mean to say they are backed. How they backed, you know it fully well. What happened in New Zealand? You have seen the statement of President Donald Trump, which is coming up like a white terrorism. So if you see that Facebook and his statement of the gentleman, the terrorist, he is trying to bring a war between the two civilizations, Christianities and Muslims. When the New Zealand incident happened, I'm on record, and I stated the next vulnerable points are Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Pakistan. Why I said it? Because both places, Christians and Muslim, the poor minorities are living. They will be attacked, and you saw what happened in Sri Lanka. So this is a third party doing something, engineering something on the future for their own motives. So similarly, when I talk about this corporation, if you see, when you lease out your official duties, official works to private parties, I'm mentioning a name, Prince Eric, who was running a company called Blackwater. This Blackwater fought a war in Afghanistan. It went to Africa, and you must have seen the name of Victor Boot, one of the gun runner, the world's infamous low flyer. He was later on convicted. So what I mean to say, these all things are done with a special purpose. So that's what, if you recall, in Pakistan, I banned 700 diplomats. When it came to my notice, I said, oh, we have 10 or 15 diplomats. How can you have 700 diplomatic passports? So I got a survey done in Islamabad and issued the order they should leave. I remember Mr. Holbrook, the then envoy of America, came to me with the message of his president. Mr. Minister, they are working for us. I said, you're working for you, not working for Pakistan. You have, let us say, 20 people, I'll give you 5 more, but I won't. And I put the restriction at that point of time, And I know for the next 6 months, no American delegation came to call on me because they were not happy. I said, no, I don't care. As long as the law of my country. I said, if I asked you to give 700 visas for my diplomats, will you give? Let's sign agreement. I will also send 700 people and give them the diplomatic visa. I'll be very happy. So see, this Eric, the Prince Eric, Black Prince is called in the world, he has created a havoc in Sudan, in Somalia, in Somaliland, and there are many other countries, started from Ivory Coast to everywhere. He's found doing all these things. Where was the back? Where was the money coming from? So somebody is destabilizing certain regions, exactly the way today South Asia is being destabilized. What's happening in our Balochistan? Who's supporting those terrorists? I mean, it's very easy to say, and while having a hot coffee or watching a TV, 15 people died in Pakistan, 300 people died in Sri Lanka, 200 people died in India. But don't we feel that they're human beings? They are related to somebody. Their sons, their fathers, their mothers, their children. Unfortunately, no. Because geopolitical interest has to be met. And for that, you know the dirty tricks played by the world intelligence agencies. I recommend you to read a book called Phillips and Iggy's. This guy has written a rundown, a countdown as to why he left CIA. And he writes that while America is friendly with Churchill, they still put an retreat. And what happens during that time with the Italian president, that is also mentioned. I don't want to take you a lot of time, but read these books, you will know. And these are the dirty tricks of the intelligence agencies. And I hope these dirty tricks, which have been played in the past, and today the world is not safe. And it's becoming less safer and safer every passing day. Similarly, Al-Qaeda and Daesh got a good coordination, and Abu Bakr Baghdadi was actually given a kind of a title of a young soldier, no less than Ayman Zawahiri, and of course Osama himself. And what they're doing at present, you know it. And it is on record. If you go see the archives, even Secretary Hillary Clinton said, yes, we actually initiated the jihadis and we nursed Al-Qaeda. What else you want? On Daesh, the same thing on the Congress. It was testified that it was nobody else but America. So I wonder, you will wonder, the world wonders. On one side, you are trying to stop the terrorism. The other side, you are supplying what is required by the terrorists. So there's no free lunch in the world. I asked these questions many times to the American high-ups. I said, if one Pakistani or one Afghani, he is very sick, he lands in America and requests that he has to have an operation, allow me to go in, you will not allow him. You will send him back. And here, you come and do your way. So why do they do their way? Because they are called geopolitical interests of the world powers. And I'm sorry, not only here, I have been saying all these things vocally. Somebody has to speak it. I have experienced it. That's why I'm telling you everything this way. Similarly, if you see, if we respect, I said the UN is the most redundant organization in the world. I tell you, if UNO was active, if UNO was doing its duty, today we would not be fighting, we would not be fighting with India today. The issue would have been resolved. So I think I'll stop it here. I started. Let's have that with your permission. Or you can serve here if you like, whatever.
For your talk. I'm an Indian and I don't get that many opportunities to learn about these topics from a Pakistani perspective, so it was very nice. You said that Pakistan has lost 70,000 civilians and around 10,000 soldiers in this war against terrorism. So it is probably one of the countries that has suffered the most because of terrorism. Yet, I read that Osama bin Laden's fortified mansion was just a kilometer away from military camps, or even today, Mosul Azhar or Hafiz Said roam around freely in Pakistan. I was wondering, in your opinion, what could the Pakistan state or government do to increase its credibility in India's eyes or even in the eyes of the world?
Good question. I'll respond to with full facts. Marshall is a young Indian student with a good spark. If you go to Bombay, nobody knows you there, take a flat. Don't come out of there. Is there any way, scientific way to find out? No. You said, and you were very diplomatically you said that Osama's place was not far from the military camp. The same in knowledge. What happened in Pulwama? That went through the police, through the army, and it was only 2.5 kilometers from the army headquarters. And it was being guarded, yet unfortunately we lost the soldiers. So when the terrorists plan something, they know how to hide, where to hide, and when to come. And I can assure you I was the interior minister at that point of time. We were working, and on our record, we had come very close to him in terms of intelligence. But we do not have that capability as they have, the satellite and all that. But we didn't resent if it happened. The terrorist is a terrorist. You know that the Prime Minister of Pakistan also did this statement. But we continue to protest that they violated our sovereignty. And after violating our sovereignty, still they say, do it more. And some spy, namely Afridi in my country, they want him to be there because he spied us, he spied our many things. So we are refused. Their standard doctrine is there. They are not doing us. So I showed you that Pakistan in no way will ever support any kind of thing. And I have sent the message to Prime Minister Modi through the High Commissioner of India. That gave my message, once you take over again the Prime Minister of India, first visit you should make to Pakistan. And I promise you I will receive you. Give this gesture to Pakistan. Give this friendly gesture. Because unless somebody takes initiative, so for example, I'm here, he was bashing India too much. You will hurt in your heart. That what kind of this person is? I'm here to hear him with something good. And he's trying to pollute me with my leadership. So I think we're all on one page, no terrorism. And I assure you that we'll continue to work on that, no terrorism. We'll say no to terrorism. Gidi, yes, please.
Thank you. Earlier in your speech, you also mentioned that the UN is always the last to hear about intelligence. Earlier in your speech, you mentioned that the UN is always the last to hear about intelligence. And they always raise no flag. Why is that?
Well, I think if you're talking of US, they are quite expert in intelligence, both electronically, physically, and their increase in every country is there. And just for your information, read that book CIA. They have made, I have been lecturing in CIA and FBI also. They have key questions. What are those key questions? For every country. For example, a country cannot survive without water. A country cannot survive without oil. A country cannot survive without wheat. So they make a list. If they have to destabilize, they put out one question. And what happened in Russia? Why USSR was disintegrated? Only on food. The scarcity was created. 4 key questions was selected. Gorbachev did not play well, and the way they acted, and the food shortage came, and you saw a biggest world's country disintegrating after Afghanistan war, and of course this food item.
Matlab, when our leaders are in power, they don't talk that bluntly. and they fail to like tell the world our perspective that we are suffering more than what actually we've done more for the world, and the world is still asking us to do more. But when you guys come out of the power, you speak so bluntly. Is that a force? Is
No,
behind
good
you?
question.
Not,
No.
tell you not to
No, good
speak
question.
so bluntly and tell the world your perspective. And when you are not in power, there is no pressure, so you can write books and you can speak about these
Good
issues.
question, and I like this a question full of criticism, and this is how we should be. I accept this question very boldly. First of all, I'll give my explanation. You get the record today from Interpol. I have been saying this. On record, I gave name Talban to Zalman, and even when I'm talking to you, there's a 1 billion rupees bounty on my head. Right? Now coming on to the why do we or why somebody does not speak, I'll give you only one example. There was attack on Pakistan border from the Pakistan side. We lost about 18 soldiers, and we stopped the entire food supply, arms supply to Afghanistan. We lost. I'm just taking you back. And President Obama said there was a conference in Mexico, and he said that he will not meet the President of Pakistan unless President of Pakistan orders reopening of the supply of NATO. He preferred not to meet President Obama, and we continue to demand an apology and not to do it in future. And we were successful. Now, coming on to this, when war is imposed on you, you have to defend. And if somebody becomes your lawyer and is fighting with you and posing to be your friend, will you fight? No. So now we are passing through that phase. Now, for example, IMF. I have no doubt in my mind, IMF is also a world weapon after World War II to control the third world, whether India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or any country in Africa, in the African areas. So I assure you, where we felt, we resisted. And that's why the way we had brought these matters at the international forums, I would like you to go to my blog, I will go to Interpol's website, you see how they can fight this.
I think we should wrap up. You should get something to eat.
Sir, कुछ खा लें?
The main thing, sir, I wanted
Introduce yourself, sir.
to. My name is Ashish Thakur, and I'm studying law in Brooks University. And I just wanted to request you if you can talk about your book, You Return Modi, because you said you don't want to hurt the
Okay,
feelings, but
look, I will give you this copy with my signatures.
okay.
You read it, because I do not know how many friends are movie here and who are anti-movie here. Today I said I am here like a your professor, teaching you something. I don't want to create a rift here, but I tell you, whatever I've written, I stand by. Anybody can challenge. I know Prime Minister Modi did like it, and he said, oh, there is one politician in Pakistan, namely Rehman Malik, and he's been saying that I'm a murderer. He calls me a qatil, and he says, tell me, am I qatil? So you just can see the feelings there. So, but I can only say, my prayer, my wish, and a message to my entire Indian community, let's get together. Let's fight, but fight against the poverty. Not each other, because we are all poor. You see, the people do not have anything to wear, to eat. Let's work for the elevation of poverty. That is the main thing. Let's do something good for them. I know for taking vote and using anti-wars, anti-Pakistan or a war syndrome, and making a good campaign is good. But to the end of the day, Mr. Thakur, if you sit together with your friends, they will tell you that we both have to be friends. And I wish that one day India and Pakistan become friends, and we will only become friends when we sit on the table on equal terms and see if something is not good for India, it's not good for Pakistan. What's not good for Pakistan, it should not be good for India. So I think if we go with this spirit and with this message, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ji. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. My name is Adil, and I'm doing MSc at the Business School, Major Program Management. And my question is that we did fight the biggest war, basically being the frontline nation for the war against terror. Why do you think was there such a big mistrust, a trust deficit between us and the US, and especially the fact that we had lost all these lives? We had suffered a huge financial loss as well, 70,000 civilians, 10,000 military personnel, 100 billion losses, economic losses. Why do you think we
Yes, I'll
had to
answer.
face
Good question.
basically
Mistrust.
Blackwater as well, please? Thank you.
Mistrust is something which is too bad. It actually creates gulf. When boyfriend and girlfriend, wife and a husband, right? Mistrust is very bad. And it all depends who's mistrusting you. When somebody is mistrusting you, you would have the evidence. But when somebody is mistrusting without evidence, that is called mistrust with Pakistan. They always say to Pakistan, do more, do more. And same thing, one delegation headed by former CIA head, we both sitting, and same thing came. Do more. I said, what do more? Oh, you are not taking action against Haqqani network. I said, okay, you stayed overnight, we'll take you what we have done. Just you say that we have not done it, we don't believe. I said, who are the Haqqanis? They are not our children. You produce them. You trained them. You gave them money. They are still using the arms given by America. So anyway, we said, okay, we will tell us where you want us to take action. We took action. After 1 month, they said, no, it's not enough. So why it's not enough? Because they had their other designs. And those designs, of course, starts from China to Iran. Now, the latest, President Donald Trump says that I don't like one belt, one road. Of course, some other countries say we don't like it. We said no. This is our future, the future of our people. So we will support it and we'll work it. And what happens? We have seen it, the way the statement came. You think that what is happening in Balochistan is those poor individuals' work? No. We have authentic proofs. I have seen with my own eyes, I've heard those conversations, the directions. All these things is happening to destabilize Pakistan. And to destabilize Pakistan, they are working in a big way. One, Chinese and American Cold War. They don't want this CPAC to happen. And then our nuclear. Many times, many offers. But Pakistan would not like to give it. And we have the ability and the authority to defend our nuclear. And I don't want to say much, but world knows that what capability do we have. By using third degree, if the world leaders say that they will be able to squeeze Pakistan, I'm sorry, they will not be able to do it. And do more syndrome. I wrote an article, if you have read it, if you have not read it, please do read it in my blog. I wrote it, do more syndrome, and then I discussed all those times where America had been telling us do more. And we have been doing more, we'll still do more, but we will not get anything more than all these bashings. And that those bashings have got specific reasons. And the reason are these three which are there. At the moment, as they very rightly say, there is nothing now, we have almost eliminated Al-Qaeda. And we even offered help, that we bring the Taliban which are on this side of the world, you talk to them, we brought them. We gave them full support. We brought China in, we brought Qatar in, we brought many countries of the world. But if they are unable to satisfy them, because when the two parties are sitting, you are mediating, you are not the authority to dictate, but you can only bring them on the table. जैसे कहते हैं घोड़े को ला सकते हो दरिया में, पानी तो वो खुद पिएगा. So I think they will continue to do it. But our effort to have peace in Afghanistan will continue, because we have a firm belief that a safe Afghanistan is basically safe Pakistan. because we have to spend so much. Now see, we have put the barbed wire around the border. See the expenditures we are doing. And this is one border in the world where 50 to 60,000 passengers go without immigration. And if we try to do immigration, they block our roads. Have you heard anywhere in the world 60,000 passengers crossing the border without immigration? We had put at least thrice the immigration post and custom post. We put it in the evening at night, they will come, they will bulldoze it and go away. So we have issues. But I think America should realize, give the other countries a respite. Let them breathe. We have fought war with them. We are their allies. And today we are not their favorite. I know it very well. We are bashed. I know other countries are favorite. And the reasons are known to the world. And of course, we will not succumb our sovereignty. We will not succumb to any pressure. And we'll continue to be behaving like a sovereign state and a self-respecting nation, inshallah. Anything else?
Just to notify everyone, iftar time has happened, so shall we continue
Okay,
the
no,
conversation?
I leave it to you.
Dinner.
But those who have roza bhaji thoda de de. I'll just continue, no problem. Because I know it's already 9 o'clock, people have to go, but I'm here for you. Any question at any time. The world, how the world is progressing, the European involvement, American involvement, the Russian involvement. What I fear is South Asia is in trouble. We have 4 nuclear states there. God forbid something happens, and these terrorist activities may ignite something. That's what we have to stop. And I'm advocating it. I have been the member of the NCA, the Nuclear Control Authority of Pakistan. I know our ability. I know our friends have the abilities. But if this ability is, God forbid, something wrong happens, it's not going to restrict to South Asia. This is my warning to the world. It will go. It will expand. So therefore, they must watch it, that they should not be doing anything which is not good for the country. In the end, I would like to say that all this propaganda, everything, I tell you, the hope is youth. And the youth is the one which is being targeted by the terrorists. They are being radicalized. We have to work ways and means at country level, at international level, to de-radicalize them. How to de-radicalize them? I have given the details in my speech. I will not mention all that. And well, there are a lot to speak, because terrorism is something which you even speak hours and hours and hours. It will continue to do. Finally, I said, and I would like to inform you that how the world witnessed the leaderships. I was in the White House in a visit with my Prime Minister, and I asked President George Bush, I said, Your Excellency, I took the permission of my President, Prime Minister, I'd like to talk to you. I just have one question. You are a world power. You started war. Why you as the world leader failed to come up with a common strategy against a common enemy? And he said, Condi, you right, do we have? He said, no, he's right. And you know, he's a very witty guy, you know that. He said, Mr. Malik, I know you're a tough cookie. I'll give you a tour of White House and then I'll discuss with you. I know he awaited the question. The same question after some time I put to President Obama. If you ever interact him, ask him that somebody asked you this question. He had the same answer. And now, frankly speaking, when I go back to the history, I analyze things. No, I know the answer to this question. And some of that you will find in this book. You will see in it. I have written on this book also. It has also, basically I'm writing on terrorism to tell the world my experiences, which I have experienced myself. Many terrorists have been arrested, even Shaheed Mohtamma Benazir Bhutto. She was tempted thrice earlier by Yusuf Ramzi, by his maternal uncles, but she survived. So they are actually targeting the leaderships also. So time is going to come, we say that if you dig a well, you fall in that. And I hope that the world powers realize that this terrorism, using as a tool of war, using as a tool to control the nations, using as a tool what is happening in Sri Lanka, what's happening in Pakistan, what's happening in Afghanistan, What's happening in the you have seen a frequent terrorist organization, how they are killing people. They say reading for a woman is haram. They say it's haram. So when you have this mindset, somebody has to change. Again, we have to rely on our youth. Because unless the leadership from the third world, underdeveloped countries, they do not stand where the strong fields, they'll continue to in fact rob us, destroy us, and take the purpose and the target which they want to achieve, using terrorism as a terror. Daesh or Al-Qaeda or any other organization, they are mercenaries. They are paid. And I'm worried the way the world is moving. I just wish and pray it doesn't happen. The way they are doing it, they are targeting, I'm on record telling you, they are targeting South Asia, maybe the field for the next third world war. And we have to stop it. We have to advocate it. We have to write. We have to put them wise. Because the way things are moving, they're not moving in the right direction. So you can ask any question.